Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Fleetcast, which is in a new and interesting area for us. This week we are going to be discussing the new Doctor Who episode, The Star Beast, which came out last week, but we had a bit of technical issues last week, so we couldn't do it, didn't we? But this week I'm joined by the lovely
Yeah.
Ben, and for once
Hello.
it's just me and Ben. So, what have you been up to this week, writing, Ben?
Uh, very little Power Rangers. Um, I may or may not have been playing about some Doctor Who fan fiction stuff, but that's for me.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, boring paperwork.
Oh
What about
dear.
you?
I have been writing Power Rangers. I've been actually doing a little bit of that, haven't I?
Ooh,
I've been doing a little bit more time and Wyoming stuff on Rosie. I've been writing a bit more on Atlantis. We're on a ship that's is or may not be infected with a virus that we know nothing about yet. And on
okay.
X-Men, I've been writing. What have I been writing in X-Men this week? I've been writing the sort of the end of a conflict and some realization
Hmm.
stuff, which is really great character development. So it's
Can
been,
I ask you one question?
of course you can.
On Atlantis, have you got Stargate yet?
No, because
But
it's
it's
not.
Atlantis.
That's like crossing streams. You can't cross the streams, can you? We've got
Well, you
Star.
can in the first Ghostbusters.
Dear, oh dear, I can see where this is going already. Okay, time for a quick disclaimer because I think this week's episode very much does need it. So, the views and opinions expressed in this podcast tonight are solely those of the people here, me and Ben, and very much do not reflect the official position of any member of the Fleet Council or Joint Fleet Command. We are not speaking for them or anyone else. We may discuss controversial or sensitive topics that may create difference of opinions. The purpose of this podcast is to provide a platform for open and honest discussions on various topics, as well as pure entertainment. We do not endorse or promote discrimination, hate speech, or harmful behaviour towards individuals or groups. We are very much firm believers in no toxic track and no toxic fandom. If you do not agree with any part of this disclaimer, you should refrain from watching us and just move on to something that's more unique for your tastes. So, as I said, this week we are going to be discussing the first episode that's been released in what, 2 years?
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
No, not quite actually, because it was Power of the Doctor was September, October last year.
Oh yeah, it came out on Halloween, didn't it? So it's
Yeah, well, just before. I think it was like the 28th or 29th.
yeah, so it's about a year, but it feels a lot longer.
Yeah.
And this week's episode, which is last week, was called The Star Beast, which you were telling me earlier that there's some interesting facts and how it's from a comic book.
Yeah, so this was on the Doctor Who Unleashed, like behind the scenes thing they've been doing. And on that, David Tennant was talking about when he saw the script, it mentions written by Russell T Davies, based on, sorry, adapted from a comic strip. And he actually mentions that it was one that he read when he was about 8 or 9, which places it late 80s, sorry, late 70s, early 80s. And by my guesses, which I've not looked too much into it because I only saw this literally this morning, um, that means it was more than likely a Tom Baker comic strip.
Okay, let me see if I can find a photo of it so we can show what it looks like. Because I can do that because I'm magic now. Um, let's find.
No, no Cretaceous curse, please, or Imperious, um,
There we go.
or
For
the other one.
anyone, who can see this, you'll be able to see the comic book now. Um,
I can't.
you can't, but everyone else can. Okay, so
Does it show which Doctor?
it doesn't know. I think
Oh,
I want to say it's probably what the
I
which one
it'll be
he
the
said.
fourth Tom
Yeah, I
Baker
think so. Yeah, I think from what
because
I can.
he was the Doctor from 74 to 81,
Yeah, so it
so
looks
that
like
would
it's
put it
Tom
at the tail
Baker.
end of his, um, or possibly very early Peter Davidson.
It looks like it's probably both of them actually, from my quick look.
Ooh,
But I would encourage anyone to go and have a look at this because it does look really interesting from like the comic books that I have just seen.
Mm.
So let's ask the big question. What was your expectations going into this episode, Ben?
I was expecting very good things
Okay.
because, as I'm sure my outfit doesn't tell you, best doctor.
Yes, there is a theme in this that you are very excited about the fact that David Tennant is back.
Yep. And the screwdriver's blue again. Well, yeah.
Everything is David Tennant and it's back. Okay, I had high expectations, but not because of David Tennant. I
Oh,
was excited because Russell T Davies is back and the character
mm.
of Donna Noble because I think they did her dirty. So dirty, in fact, that I can remember when we had the Christmas episode and it was when David Tennant regenerated into Matt Smith and we only got to see her for like a really, really small amount and I felt they did her dirty.
That actually quite annoyed me at the time because of the fact that they made a big song and dance
Yes.
about the fact that she was in it.
Yes.
And in total, I think she has about 10 minutes of screen time across just under 2.5 hours of television.
Yes. And it
Um,
really bugged me how they left that character because that character of Don Noble had so much character development over what? Over well, one Christmas special and then a whole season.
don't get me wrong, there were a couple of characters I think they did dirtier in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the one that I'm sure anyone who knows me would expect me to say is Rose. I actually quite liked the fact that they just gave her a little cameo and that was it
Yep.
in End of Time. Uh, Martha, her thing was from very left field. And this is another one, again, people find odd from me because I have made no secret of Martha's my least favourite one of David Tennant's companions.
Yeah.
But she was done dirty there.
Yeah. I feel like every character in that episode was done dirty.
Well, no, again, Rose, they didn't do her dirty. Um,
But
they did do Wilf dirty. They
yeah,
did Wilf very dirty because they forever made him the man that killed the doctor.
I know, and I'm just so annoyed. But okay, so going into this episode, yeah, so I had high expectations, but not for the same reasons as you did. So going into this episode, I found I really, really liked the first scene where we're going in and we just kind of see the doctor and he's very much there. He lands in Camden Market, which is an amazing place, and he literally runs in pretty much straight away to Donna Noble. She doesn't very much remember him, and I just think it's a really funny scene.
Mm.
um
The, the best bit is where he's taking all the boxes off her trying to help. Then he sees who it is and he immediately starts putting them back.
and it's instantly it's the Donna from the first Christmas episode that we had, the first
Mm.
special that we had. She's in your face, she's yelling, and I just find it hilarious because then she starts yelling Rose, and he's like,
What?
what,
What?
and they're both going, and she's getting louder and louder yelling Rose,
And
Rose.
he's getting louder and louder, just yelling the what?
Yes, and it's just so funny, and then obviously Rose appears, and then her husband Sean appears, and then Donna's, doing what Donna does best, ignoring the fact there's a crashing spaceship streaking across the sky. She ignores it, and I just instantly fell in love with that first scene. It was
Now,
such a good start to an episode.
and mildly jumping ahead here, I love Sean in this episode.
Yes.
Uh, I legitimately think he was my favourite member of her family in this episode because he's just so like he's aware of what's going on, but he just doesn't give a crap.
He's laid back. He's laid
Yeah.
back. He's laid back. And I think that as the episode moves on, we kind of meet. Obviously, we meet Sean, obviously the doctor. practically hitches a ride with him, and then obviously the doctor pretends that he's someone else to find out what's going on. And
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed there,
okay,
purely because it's the anniversary one.
hmm,
So, 60th anniversary special,
yeah,
and it's not Dr. John Smith. That, I was just like, you got the perfect excuse.
yeah. But I think the doctor's still kind of he's still a bit confused that he's back in this phase. I think
Mm,
little things like that can be confused. And then obviously Sean gives him a lift to
mm,
the spaceship,
yep.
and then we obviously meet the new unit head scientist, Shirley Brigham. Um, and I really
Who it,
go on.
I was going to say who may be one of my favourite new characters.
Yes.
Um,
Okay.
and not just because of what comes later on, although that really did win her a lot of points with me.
Yes, but obviously we meet a new unit, and I find this unit is very much more militarized.
Yeah, well, what I like as well is because in the Jodie Whittaker era, they basically made Unit defunct,
Yes.
and that really annoyed me. That
Yes.
like that was well point 479 out of about 864 that I had a problem with there.
Yes.
And yes, I'm making up random numbers here.
But I think they did that to I think it was kind of a visa up to Brexit. I think
See, I took it to be because a lot of Jodie Whittaker stuff tend to be much more small scale, much more domestic,
yes.
whereas Unit is designed to make it very, very large scale.
Yes, but I think this scene also showed that they have got some Disney dollar behind them. They have
Uh,
definitely got Disney
no,
dollar.
no, 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 that comes later. That
Oh,
comes much
it does,
later.
but you can see it instantly that
Oh
we
yeah,
now have some Disney dollar behind us in the BBC,
yes.
and it shows. But this scene is so tastefully done, and that's the only way I can describe it because you've got the Doctor and you've got Shirley, and they're having a conversation, and it could have been it could have been a big scene, it could have been a yell, an action scene, a yelling scene.
But instead, it's Unit Scientist number 53,
Yeah,
Unit Scientist number 1.
yeah, and I just think it was just it was so subtle in the emotion that he's actually feeling, that he obviously hasn't shared this with anyone else yet, but here he is sharing it with someone who he doesn't really know. The only thing he knows about her is the fact she is unit scientist 50, is it 53, sorry?
It was either 53 or 57.
Yeah, it was, but he's sharing it with someone he doesn't know, and then
But no, please.
she's going back going, but that's your future, how do you know that that's not allowed? And he's like, yeah, I've
That
regenerated.
that I did take a bit of an issue with,
Okay.
bec- purely because I don't like the idea of all these sort of rules that he's supposed to follow being, shall we say, general knowledge.
Okay.
Partly because of the fact that it makes any time where exposition comes up later on a little bit. Well, why don't they already know this?
But I think also it kind of gives us how involved he has been with Unit, because obviously back in the
Hmm.
old series, I don't want to say the old Doctor Who, he was there for his regenerations, so they are aware of his
Yeah.
regenerations, and
Well,
obviously
well,
when
yeah, because Unit was founded in a Patrick Troughton story.
yes, because of
And
money issues, wasn't it?
yeah, and then so that was the first appearance of the Brigadier.
I missed that part
Um,
of him.
yeah, I know. And they don't refer to it by name there. It's not actually organized officially as its own organization until the first John Pertwee serial,
Yeah.
which of course is where you've got that thing, the shot of John Pertwee sort of just collapsing out of the TARDIS, still wearing Patrick Troughton's outfit.
Which has been done so many times since.
Yeah, well, they redid it almost verbatim with David Tennant in Christmas Invasion. They redid it to an extent with Capaldi in
Yeah.
Deep Breath. Um, they did a almost backwards version of it in Doctor Who the movie when he comes out the TARDIS and gets shot.
Yes, 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 yes. And the only reason they didn't do it when they went from Jodie to David was because they just didn't want him to be wearing women's clothes and that to be such a big thing.
Yeah, I get where they were coming from there, but because I understand Russell T Davies' comment on that would be the image they would use forever.
Yeah,
But I was like, but why? And also, in the nicest possible way, Jodie Whittaker's outfit, I wouldn't necessarily describe as being properly women's clothes. I describe it as almost unisex.
yeah. But also,
Because
I just don't think it would have fit in David Tennant because he's what 6'5". He's a tall guy.
I think he's about 6 foot or 6'1",
Yeah, he's a tall guy, and Jodie's not. She's quite
petite.
yeah. But yeah, no, I found that scene with Unit. I think it was such a good
Mm.
episode. But I actually at this point I was 100% convinced that Shirley was a bad guy. Like 100%. It was a
I No, I wasn't thinking she was a bad guy. I was thinking, oh no, are they about to introduce another character? Basically, I thought they were about to go down the route that No Time to Die had gone down with James Bond, where you're going to introduce. Sorry, have I lost
no, no,
sound?
no, no, no. I just don't.
Oh,
I don't think I've
oh,
seen that film in many years, so I
oh.
don't
Yeah, that was Daniel Craig's last Bond film. So in that, what they do is they introduce a new 007
know. Right,
who her entire role is basically to make James Bond look almost superfluous or inferior.
right.
And I was a little bit concerned that's what they were going to try and do with her there,
Okay.
especially at the end where she's saying about move out, and then her comments just, no, not you, sunshine, you stay here.
Yeah, but I think she did that so that he could go and do other things.
And also because if she knows half as much about him as she seems to be implying, she knows full well he is going to completely ignore that instruction and
Yes.
just go anyway.
Yes.
Well, they even lampshade that in the scene where he's going away and he jumps on the back of the truck
Yeah.
and she literally waves him off
Yeah.
because she knew that he was gonna just go, yeah, I'm going anyway. Don't care.
Yeah, and it was just I think it was just a beautiful scene that obviously he's explaining his confusion and the fact that he's
Mm,
re-entered Donna's life and that he believes the two
mm.
events are connected. Obviously, Shirley sends the unit squad to investigate the spaceship that's there, only to find that it's landed there. It's not crash landed at all, and
Well,
that
that's what the doctor brings up there,
yeah,
which brings me to the nitpick which we briefly discussed: screwdriver.
okay.
The whole, oh, I can draw a little screen and have all these different things here now.
We haven't got there yet, so you can't do that yet.
Well, no, that's part of this scene because he draws the thing and he's literally sat there just tapping away at it like a
Oh
touchscreen.
yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's just like, no, I get what they're going for. They're trying to make it more visual because, of course, in the older David Tennant stuff, what he'd do is he'd do the old sort of twist it around
He's
and all
twist
that.
it and
Yeah, or sort of look like he's trying to read it.
yes, yeah, I can understand. Yeah,
I get what they're going for from a visual standpoint,
yeah,
but it's sonic sound, not well laser. If they want that, give him the master screwdriver.
yes,
That would be able to do that. That would make sense. Although the master would never in a million years make something that does something as boring as make a screen.
yes,
Um, well, I don't actually want to go into what he'd make it do.
yes. Probably,
Something like the something like the Death Star, probably.
yeah, it would probably be safer not to. But yeah, I just think it was a good scene, and it kind of showed the confusion, the confusion
Yeah.
that the doctor's feeling. And then obviously we cut to the scene where the unit soldiers have gone up and they open the panel Well, they find a key,
Hmm.
don't they? They find a key, they open the panel, and there's a rainbow swirly light inside of it that takes over their eyes, and then they shut the visors down.
Yeah, and the rainbow light taking control of them, I was very much, and I think it's just because the visual was similar.
Yeah, I was a
But
bit
I
confused.
was reminded of Torchwood episode two. Uh, Episode is called Day One. That's the one where Gwen throws the chisel to Owen, ends up releasing this gas thing that takes over the girl, and I
Yes,
can't go too much
yes,
further into it
yes, yes,
because
yes.
reasons.
It's. I remember now. It's been a
Yeah,
while
but
since I
lots of
watched
the
Torchwood.
visuals were very similar.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I can see what you mean. And obviously, then those soldiers go off,
Hmm.
and then it kind of goes back to Donna and her daughter.
Hmm.
And I actually think this scene where they're walking down the road and those people on the name call out Rose's dead name. You know,
Hmm.
they call out Jonathan. And I think that's such an important scene because one, you know, it's what people go through. You know, they're dead named, they're abused in the street and all this. But also, I just think it's important to think about what actually Donna named her child. She named him Jonathan, which was, it's actually a form of the doctor. So even
Hmm.
when Donna couldn't remember, she still was naming her child after the doctor.
Which is something that comes up later on.
Yes, which
Um,
which we'll get to. But I just think the scene that was then, it was so important, as you know, they're walking down the street and Rose is dead named, and I just think it was so beautifully done. And then obviously they get inside, and who is there?
yeah, Sylvia,
Sylvia.
who very much gets to channel her Jackie Tyler in a minute.
Oh my god. Seriously, I actually think this whole scene, when they're inside the kitchen,
Hmm.
is just another brilliant scene between a mother and a daughter.
Hmm.
And
It I What I quite liked there is I liked the, as you say, the interplay with Donna and her mother,
yeah,
and particularly and ironic. So I'm deliberately staying away from certain topics of conversation
yeah,
because I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth.
yeah. Which is understandable.
Um,
You know, I understand.
yeah, but there, what they did was they handled very much what you had in the previous scene very tastefully,
Yeah,
because that's one point I will definitely give the previous scene. They don't linger on it. They don't sit there and make it a big song dance. This is the end all be all of this
yeah,
entire section of the episode.
yeah,
It is a, we're doing this, we've addressed it, let's move on.
yeah,
Much like what they did in the previous scene with Shirley in the factory where they're talking about dealing with the stairs,
yeah.
um, where they address it, and she just goes, "Well, don't make me the problem. Just get on with it."
Yeah, and I think Russell T Davis, because he's actually lived through a lot of things
Mm.
in the LGBTQ community. He's bringing a lot of those type of issues in, but he's
Well,
doing,
yeah,
sorry,
because he was sorry.
go,
Well, I was going to say because he was a out gay man during the whole AIDS
yeah,
stuff in the 80s and 90s,
yeah,
which had a certain degree of stigma to it.
very much, very much.
But
And I just think he has brought in issues more he's highlighted more things in this episode than has been done since he left, and he's done it in such a way that it's just beautiful, but does highlight that, you know, these things do happen. And
mm,
that scene between Sylvia and Donna is just, it's just beautifully done. And you know, Sylvia's going, I don't know what to do, I don't know if I'm making the situation worse or I'm not. And it's just handled so well, and I just really liked it.
what I like there is the fact that it's someone, because also you have got, as you say, the bit where Donna's saying, "I don't know what to do."
Yeah,
and obviously you've got, like, in reality, people don't always know what
No?
to do. And I mean, I've seen my own parents pretending they know exactly what they're doing when they ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, particularly my dad recently with some stuff which I'm not going to go into, um, but some stuff he's had with my siblings,
Yeah.
and like um, I've seen him trying to make like he knows what he's doing, and he's told me when we've been sort of out for a coffee, I ain't got a clue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he's trying
And
his best.
yeah, he's doing very very well with it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting off topic, and I'm got to stop playing with this because otherwise I'm going to keep waving it around.
But yeah, no, so obviously the scene moves on and Rose goes out to investigate what she suspects to be a spacecraft thanks to a text from her friend. So she goes out to the field. She's like, oh, I'm going to go get my phone. So she goes back. And as she's going back, she hears a noise in the recycling. And what does she find? She finds the Meep.
Oh yes, my cat.
Yes, very much does look like your cat sometimes. So yes, she finds the Meep and she brings it into the shed. And who comes in pretty much quickly afterwards is
Donna.
Donna. So Donna discovers the Meep in
Yeah,
the
oh,
homemade stuffed toys that Rose is making for her online business.
and
Um,
immediately poke it in the eye.
yes, yes. Which I think is just so funny, and it's such a Donna reaction that she
Yeah.
does that.
Also, I just want to take a second to just address how brilliant Miriam Margolis is in this. Uh, which, of course, other things you may remember her from, Blackadder.
Yes. See,
Yeah,
I didn't actually realize she was the person behind it until today, like 2 hours ago.
it's on the
I know, but
credits.
I didn't look at the credits. I was parenting and other things.
Oh,
Um,
stop parenting,
I'm a
honestly.
solo parent. It's what I do. It's like solo parenting, Obsidian Fleet.
Doctor Who.
But yes, I didn't realize it was her. Now that I look back, I'm like, oh my god, how did I miss it?
The thing is, until some stuff later on, which I'm not going to go into just yet, it doesn't sound like her.
Yes, she's so good. She's just
Yeah.
so good. And then obviously, the episode carries on, and
And then this Disney money comes in.
hmm just a little bit. Obviously, this
A little bit. It looked like a scene out of the Blinking Avengers.
okay, yes. So the scene starts. They bring the Meep inside, and Sylvia is trying to do her best to make out that it's fake. It's just a random animal that they found, and then all of a sudden you can hear the doctor. He's just banging,
Hello,
hello,
hello.
and then she whirls around, and she is literally, as you said earlier, she is channeling her Jackie Tyler. She runs up, and he's like, "Oh, hello, Sylvia," and I literally had
Oh, here we go again.
tears rolling down my face at that scene because it was just so funny. And then
Also, let's just remember that um, David Tennant is probably the Doctor who's been slapped in the face by people's mothers more than anyone else.
Free
Uh,
Jackie
well, yeah, this
Tyler,
this makes free
yeah, yeah,
because there was Jackie, which I found hilarious because she slaps him and then kisses him in the same scene.
yes,
Then there was Martha's mother,
yeah.
whose name always escapes me.
Me too. I can never remember her name, which is really bad.
It is because she was actually a really. In fact, I actually found her to be a more interesting character than Martha half the time.
Yes, but that's a whole
Uh,
different podcast.
well, yeah. Let's not go into Martha was reduced to has a crush on the Doctor. That's her whole thing. Um, and then now, of course, Donna's mother,
Yes,
and then the other Doctor who is very close behind and has one of the same people slapping in the face, Eccleston.
yes.
Um,
But this scene was just so funny, and then obviously she's trying to like cover the doctor, and it's hilarious watching this woman trying. She's like this.
Yeah, trying to hide this man who's about a foot taller than her,
Yeah, and it's just ridiculous, obviously. So this all happens, and then Sean
and,
comes in.
and then something smells good.
Yes, tuna madras.
Yeah.
And then obviously Sean comes in, and he's just like, "Oh, okay." He kind of diffuses the situation, and together they learn about the Meep's history. And it states it has two hearts, like the Doctor, and that the Wrath Warriors are hunting it for its fur. Which, at this point, I kind of got the vibe that something wasn't quite right.
This was where I sort of called the twist.
I didn't call it until they were going through the attic.
No, the only reason why I call it here is because, in the nicest possible way, they make it. They almost lampshade it
Okay.
because what they imply is they have these incredibly evil looking things that are almost cartoonishly evil. That's
Hmm.
what they go. That's the route. And it's like, hang on, Doctor Who's not normally this on the nose.
Yeah, yeah. There, there,
Like
there was a vibe, but on my first watch through, I didn't get the vibe until
the,
until it,
there was also the ship was the other hint,
see.
and
I missed. I
it's in
missed.
the dialogue.
See, I missed all those things. The
I
ADHD wasn't working at that
uh,
point.
no, see the ship bit. I actually did miss on my first watch. I rewatched it,
Hmm.
and I was like, hang on a minute. So you've got this ship which does this, and then landed,
Hmm.
and that is not a prison cell. That is an escape pod.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was interesting, and obviously I just found the scene quite. I didn't obviously get the vibe, but as the scene carries on, you kind of get the unit squad and the Wraiths. Was it Wraths?
mm.
Wraths?
Wrath, I
Wrath.
believe.
The
Wrath
Wrath
Warrior.
arrive, and obviously a fight breaks out between them. Um, and I think
And then,
I think you want to explain this scene because yeah, I think you want to
yeah,
explain.
the so once again we have the sonic screwdriver that now has a million and one new functions.
Disney
I
money.
don't, huh?
Disney money.
I don't mind new functions. And also, what I love is they apparently use actual bulletproof plexiglass for those screens.
Yeah.
So they literally just basically said to David Tennant, "We're putting these things on rails. Just slide them out for us." And then we're going to make them look pretty. Meanwhile, the soldiers and the Wrath Warriors are shooting paintball guns at them.
Okay.
Um, which this was also in the Doctor Who Unleashed thing I was watching this morning on the train. Um, but it's the fact that you've got the whole scene, and obviously you got the bit with the Meep,
Yeah.
and where they're saying about two hearts, which they come back to a couple of times throughout the episode.
Yeah.
And they keep making like, oh, it's really rare for a species to have two hearts. Okay, uh, are we back to ignoring things from Matt Smith because there was that entire hospital for a species with two hearts that Amy got stuck in his second series. The one where there was two Amy's, old Amy and young Amy.
I didn't realize there was two hearts in it.
Yeah, because if you remember when they're talking about the virus, when Amy's ended up in a different stream to them,
Yes, that makes sense.
the
That makes
doctor
sense.
mentions
Yeah.
that it's completely harmless to most species, but it's deadly to any species with a binary
See, you
vascular
you
system.
you have your facts and figures. I have different facts and figures, but together we make a really good Doctor Who fan.
Yeah, yeah, but mine is for fuck's sake, you did this before. Sorry, that's my one.
That's your one, yes. But yeah,
Just be glad it was that one and not the other one.
yes, but yeah, no, I don't think they've necessarily made it that they've kind of ignored that. I think it's the fact that they are uncommon. What
Mm.
across 60 years of Doctor Who, we've only seen three species. So
Uh, right. So this is where we get into very, very tricky territory.
okay,
Uh, so the obvious ones you've got Time Lords.
yeah,
You have the Meep. You have the aliens with the Chen 7 virus thing from
yeah,
two streams. And then, this is one that I really, really don't like bringing up because it leaves a really bitter taste in my mouth. But whatever the hell they're trying to say the Doctor is at this point.
I knew you were going to say that. That's why I said it.
Um,
Every time. But yes, so should we
and
call them the timeless species or the timeless child species?
yeah,
Yeah, I think we call them the
I'm
timeless.
still not entirely convinced that that is actually going to turn out to be the Doctor at this point because, well, I refer you to the character that introduces that as a concept.
Yes.
The single most unreliable narrator in the history of Doctor Who.
Yeah, yeah. The Master's not exactly a reliable witness now, is he? But yeah,
Yeah,
though I think they are still quite unique. Even then, even if there are
yeah.
four, I think it's very unique. And obviously then this scene where they've got bulletproof glass or the bulletproof shield,
Laser field thing.
laser field. Like we'll call it the laser field. Obviously, he puts it out one way, he puts it out the other, and then they all race up the stairs.
Yeah, the irony is, having said that I hate these fields,
Hmm.
I do like the fact that you see him stop and take the consideration to, right, so I've blocked this way. Oh, this way I need to have a way around it. So you actually see him making it smaller.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's actually, because the thing with the Doctor that they sort of seem almost scared to address half the time is, as much as he doesn't like to think of himself as such, he is a soldier.
yes.
Like that is what
The War
two
Doctor. The War
yeah.
Doctor is such a prime example of that.
Well,
As well as what's is it, Paul McGann?
Eccleston. No, Paul McGann's Doctor actually wasn't. Paul McGann's Doctor, his whole issue was he wasn't a soldier because
No, you're right.
he
I got them in the wrong order then. That's me.
he asked to be made into a warrior.
Yes, yes. No, I got them in completely the wrong order. I got my doctors confused there completely.
Yeah, because it's Eccleston is very much the soldier with PTSD,
Yes, 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 yes,
and
yes.
that was his whole character.
Yeah, no. And do you know why I got confused? Because
Why?
I've literally watched the is it the Dawn of the Doctor? Is that what it's called? That episode? That mini episode?
Night of the Doctor,
Night of the Doctor, and I've watched that recently, and I've been
so good.
so good. Seriously, people, if you have got access to watch the of the Doctor series altogether, really, you need to watch all of them. They are
Uh,
some of the best Doctor Who's in it.
for context, the actual of the Doctor series consists of Name of the Doctor, Night of the Doctor, Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, I
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
was Power of the Doctor, even though it has the title, doesn't actually tie in. Although it did give us the amazing bit with Paul McGann. I don't do robes.
hmm hmm
I
Yeah,
stand by. That was my favourite part of that episode.
but yeah. So as you said, it's that as much as he doesn't want to be a warrior, he has that military all in his head, and he
Yeah.
uses it constantly. And do you know something? I actually really liked the little part where he's kind of trying to psych the beat up. I literally was like, it's like, oh my god, it's me trying to talk to my tiny human and get her excited for the day. It's literally the same tone that I use. I'm like,
It's like me when I talk to my cat.
yes. And obviously, then they run up the stairs, and you are very right that the Disney money shows up in this scene.
Because you've got all the cars exploding and like I said earlier, it turns into the third act of Avengers Assemble,
Yeah, very much.
like where everything's just blowing up. It's like, but what?
Yeah, Yes. So
And
it's quite funny, and obviously they've got up into the attic, and then
and then
obviously
th- this is where Sean's comedy comes back in
yes,
with uh it's a sonic screwdriver, and one thing it's very, very good at. And I expected him to bring back the line from Doomsday of "It's very good at opening doors,"
yes,
but no, it's very good at resonating concrete.
yeah,
But the inflection and the delivery is identical to the one from Doomsday when he's talking to that Dalek.
yes. It might
Um,
be it might be 15 years, but David Tennant still knows how to play the Doctor so
yeah,
well.
and then Sean just cuts in with "It's mortar."
Yes, yes. It's just so funny that they kind of go through all these different attics, and they get to a house where they can get out into the taxi, and they're going down the stairs, and there is a guy on the sofa who is literally oblivious to
Well,
all of this going on.
that's actually a running theme throughout the scene because you don't see any of the neighbours coming to the doors or windows to look at all the cars blowing up outside. No one cares.
Hmm.
Uh,
London.
well, yes, I refer you to the time where a spaceship crashed into Big Ben,
Yes.
or the time where there were, well, actually, no, the Daleks over Canary Wharf. No, that one didn't necessarily. No, that one must have got wiped out because of the fact that Amy didn't remember the Daleks, because we knew that the Planets in the Sky did.
Yes.
But I've just realised that based on the fact that she didn't recognise the Daleks, that also means that Doomsday had to get retconned out by the crack in the wall.
Yeah, potentially, but that's a whole different episode. We're not going to go down that
Yeah,
road.
well,
And then
that's the entire rabbit hole.
that's an entire that's a whole episode. That's a whole different episode. So yeah, so they escape out into the taxi with the doctor checking one of the soldiers' pulses, and then he makes that face that he is not happy.
Mm, because he's worked out that something is very, very wrong.
Yes, so he
And
drives to a
oh
car.
yes, and that is a little throwback because fun fact: John Pertwee's Doctor had a car. In fact, he had two cars. He
Yes,
had Bessie, which was the little yellow one with the license plate "Who won,"
yeah,
and then he had the Whomobile, which was the silver flying saucer looking one with a license plate "Who too." I think that one was only in like two episodes or something.
yes,
That one didn't appear a lot, but Bessie was a regular thing to the extent that they actually brought it back in the 25th anniversary with Peter Davidson. And
yes.
I'm pretty sure it came back in the episode with the Brigadier with Sylvester McCoy as well. So I'm
Mm,
pretty sure they had the Doctor driving it in that episode.
potentially. I can't say I remember it, but they must have.
Well, I just remember an image of Sylvester McCoy's Doctor with Bessie, so I'm
Yes.
assuming.
Yeah, more than likely did then. So yeah, so the Doctor and obviously nobles. Are they called nobles? They're not called nobles now, are they?
Noble Temple.
Noble temples and the Meep all get into this black taxi cab, and they race off to a empty car park.
Yeah, which, by the way, glad you brought up the taxi cab because later on we see them in the back of a van where they're relatively cramped
Hmm.
and they're all just fine in the taxi cab. So that taxi cab must be the TARDIS
Yes.
because it's seemingly bigger on the inside.
Yes. So obviously the Doctor gets the Meep and Donna's family out of the taxi cab. Um,
And then we get a little throwback to Eccleston with the teleports
yes.
and the Slovene.
Yes. So the Doctor decides he's going to hold a court.
Oh, which he actually. Fun fact: the thing with the wig was
Mhm.
actually something they did in a Tom Baker episode as well.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. But yes.
That I only know that because there's been a picture going around the internet to do with that exact thing.
Okay. So he puts on a wig and he basically summons the race.
Wrath Warriors.
Yeah, he summons two Wrath warriors, which I think is so well done. That when they appear and they start talking, they've got a very upper class Bristol upper class British accent.
British.
It was, very, very, very much like how I talk sometimes. They've got very much an accent like that, and
Mm.
yeah, I just found that was quite funny. And he holds a trial between them, and then the later revealing that the Meep's homeworld was felicated by a sun that turned its entire species into vicious beings, and that the Meep is the last of its kind, and it's actually attempting to rule the universe. And
Two-hearted alien that's the last of its kind. I feel like I've heard this one
yes,
before.
yes,
But where was that?
yes, and imagine that.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
then the facade of the Meep absolutely drops.
And the eyes just.
Yes.
Now, I'm asking here, am I the one who got Gremlins vibes
Oh,
there?
100%. I was like, oh
Like,
my God, it's the Gremlins.
yeah, it was Gizmo.
Yes, 100%.
Like,
100%. And then
and that's
obviously,
also where you could hear it's Miriam Margolis.
yes, obviously you can on the second watch. I didn't
Mm.
realize that it was at that point. And then obviously the Meep kills the Wraiths and reveals that there are possessed unit soldiers under its control. It also threatens to kill the Doctor and Donna's family. Um,
Uh,
Go on.
which tells us that although it knows that the Doctor's got two hearts, it hasn't worked out that much about him, because if it did, then it would know that if it tries to kill him, it'll be there all night.
Yeah, yes. And then obviously it basically it suggests that being two-hearted aliens in London at once is part of the Wraith's plan. So the Meep accepts his suggestion, and they are all taken hostage instead. So what I liked about this scene, and obviously other than the fact that the van is very, very tight, very tight for the family, is Sylvia. She's still denying that she knows the Doctor, and it's just so funny. She's like, I don't know, I don't know him, I don't know what you're on about.
Mm, yeah, the Doctor's almost like, just give it up.
Yeah, just just
In fact, no, it's not even just him; it's everyone in the van,
yeah,
including Donna. That's the best bit of it.
yes, and like it's just so funny.
And that's
Um,
also, this is the next point where they bring up what you were saying earlier with calling the child John,
yes,
which is where the Doctor says, "So why did you give away all your money?"
yes,
And this is where, and the line she gives is, "Oh well, I just wanted to help people," followed by, "It seemed like what he would do,"
yeah. So
which that's,
she's starting to remember.
well, the inference is it's still, the whole thing's still there. It's just buried in her subconscious.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I just found that part where where she just looks a little bit lost for a moment, and you're like, oh. And then obviously they get to where they get the Meep to reveal that his plan to escape Earth with its new soldiers is at the cost of incinerating London. Um,
only 5 miles of it, which,
yeah,
when you see the size of London, isn't that much.
wow.
5 square miles is sort of, well, Camden, really.
But I like Camden Market. It's a big place, man.
I like Camden Market. The World's End's pub's quite nice as well.
So yeah, so the Meep is trying to take everyone hostage, and the Doctor and Donna's family are saved by Shirley, which is so well done.
Best part of the episode,
Yes,
tank wheelchair.
tank wheelchairs. I I can't get over just how well this scene was done. They could have done it a million other ways.
What I found genuinely hilarious here, and I'm going to touch on something which, so there was the Children in Need episode,
Yeah.
which has been getting quite a lot of flack because of Davros. Because apparently, according to Russell T Davies, if we see a single person in a wheelchair being evil, all people in wheelchairs are evil. All I will flag that only a moron would think that. Like I understand you're writing television. You have to appeal to the lowest common denominator. At this point, you are not appealing to the lowest common denominator. You are appealing to the lowest common denominator after they have snorted a ton of cocaine and drank a lot of beer. Um, but he also, in saying that, he almost implies, "Oh, I think that people in wheelchairs need help from everyone else." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then he's doing all this stuff with her that's sort of flying in the face of literally what he is saying.
Yeah.
Which I'm at the moment, I'm very much as I like the man as a writer, I feel like he is being a bit of an idiot in regards to how he's putting things right now.
Yeah. I think he's still trying to find his feet. I think it's been what, 10 years, 12
Uh,
years?
Not even, I think that he's particularly in the wake of the greatest television event in human history, beyond the Pandaverse, um, the South Park special.
Right.
He's terrified about offending people,
Okay.
and especially because don't forget one of his backers currently is Disney,
Yes.
who are famously terrified of offending people.
Yes.
I refer you to, well, their butchering of Marvel Phase 4, which was basically they tributed the MCU in favor of not upsetting anyone.
Yeah, but I think it's difficult nowadays to not offend someone with anything you
I
say.
Yeah, I take the view of you can please some of the people some of the time, or all of the people. No, sorry, all some of the people all the time, or all of the people some of the time. But you cannot please all of the people all of the time.
Yeah. So I think he's very much trying to appeal to more people,
Mm.
and obviously Disney money, Disney dollars,
Yeah, I think more than anything, he's just trying to appeal to Disney shareholders right now.
which is fine. We've got to give him a chance. He's only had one episode, one. But we've not. But that episode has not been discussed yet. So at this
And
point,
also two and a bit because the children need one.
okay, so one and a bit by this point of what we're discussing.
Yeah. Although that being said, I did very much enjoy the Children in Need episode because I've got to just sidetrack for 2 minutes here. Okay, that's a clever lie, probably about five, which is the length of that episode. First of all, Julian Bleach back as Davros. Yes. Even without all the makeup and all the voice synthesizer, he still plays the character perfectly. The only thing that I hope is that in his next appearance, if they're going to stick to their guns on this is Davros now, we're going to see him get horribly, horribly disfigured.
It would be interesting if they go that route. It would be very timey-wimey and very apt.
Also, that point, because well, that mini episode in and of itself makes the Doctor's entire although it already was, the Doctor's entire relationship with the Daleks is a predestination paradox.
Yes.
Because, so, the first Doctor encounters the Daleks, then fast forward, the Time Lords, as a result of the first Doctor having encountered the Daleks, see a future where the Daleks will wipe out all other life in the universe.
Yep.
They send the fourth Doctor back in time to prevent their creation, where he in turn leads to the Daleks becoming the creatures that they are later on. Ironically, because he refuses to press the button to kill them.
Yes.
Which then, fast forward again, you get to the War Doctor who, oh, big red button, kill all Daleks, do it.
Which then leads to Capaldi's Doctor, who meets Davros as a child.
Yeah. Which then leads to David Tennant's second Doctor, or is it third? No, it'd be third because technically
yeah.
speaking, he was two Doctors consecutively.
Metacrisis Doctor, and then
Oh no! I'm just referring to the fact that the 10th Doctor regenerated into the 10th Doctor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because as the 11th Doctor puts it, I may not have changed my face, but it was still a regeneration.
Yes.
But he then goes back to the point where the Daleks are being created, and they have that really cool-looking claw arm,
Yeah.
which the Doctor crashes through with the TARDIS. And the scientist says, "Oh, but you destroyed the thing." Oh, right, give me a second. Goes into the TARDIS, comes back out of his toilet plunger, sticks it on the Dalek. And then apparently Davros loves it.
Yes.
So, first of all, we have to assume because we know that the TARDIS there must have been still the interior from Jodie Whittaker's Doctor.
Yes, it's gotta be.
Based, yeah. Does that mean that there was a secret toilet just off to the side of the door
It's bound to be.
in
It's
her TARDIS?
bound to be.
Because he goes in there for literally five
Yeah,
seconds.
but the TARDIS changes its shape when he needs to, as well.
Yeah, but I
What?
didn't think it rearranged the room.
Yeah,
Now, yeah.
you're going down. You're going down that deep dark tunnel again. So, getting back to the episode that we are
Yeah.
reviewing today, um, where were we? So yes, so everyone is at there. Shirley has saved the Doctor and Donna's family.
Take
The
wheelchair.
Doctor is trying to send Donna and her family off, and then the Doctor runs off to the Meep's ship, and
The
um,
Donna.
the Donna, because she is the
Uh,
Donna by this stage.
oh, is she the So, are you saying that she's the little dictaphone thing from Suits season 5 called the Donna?
I don't even know what you're on about.
You need to watch Suits. It's amazing.
Yes, but it's probably
Anyway,
I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch it because certain people are in it. Um,
it's worth it. All I'm saying.
but yeah, so the Donna basically locks her family behind a gate and runs back to the Doctor, which I think is just brilliant. And the Doctor is like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?" And then they kind of get trapped on the ship, and it's running out of time. And this scene was so heartbreaking when you see the realization on the Doctor's face that he has to
Kill
reawaken.
Donna.
Yeah, where he has to reawaken the Doctor Donna and then sure die.
And also, what I like there is he proceeds to almost give us the encore performance of his I could do so much more from End of Time,
Yes,
which is very much David Tennant at his best.
yes, and just some of the words that it was spoken, I was like, it was literally going through each episode, and he was giving us like a word from each episode.
Well, also, it's, what was there? There was you unicorn there,
Yeah,
library.
yeah, grief.
Mm.
Um,
There, I just remember, like I say, unicorn library, and then
there was grief.
binary, binary, binary,
Yeah,
which I didn't enjoy that line nearly as much as I did in Journey's End Part Two because there it was kind of funny.
yeah, and I just think obviously the words that he's saying, and then we get Donna reawaken, and she's absolutely mad as a hat, and she's
After
fuming.
regenerating, apparently.
Yes, she is absolutely fuming at the Doctor that she gave away all her money.
Yeah, because that's the point where she point blank says, "That was you in my head."
Yes, and obviously the Doctor's like, this isn't the time for
And
this.
what? So, first of all, this scene is very well done. This scene is very, very good.
It's very much Catherine Tate and David Tennant at their best.
Yeah. Um, and again, it's basically an encore performance of the back end of Journey's End,
Yes.
um, which I don't have a problem with because that was very, very good. The only episode that I thought they were better in was, funny enough, Unicorn and the Wasp.
It's a
That's
great
actually
episode.
that's my favorite series 4 episode.
See, mine is the library episodes.
I do like the library, um, and particularly for some of the character beats in that.
Yes. But
And
yeah, no, I just
also,
think the fact that they brought Donna back with this and
mm,
how she she came back as that brilliant character from 15 years ago was just brilliant. It's like she'd never been away.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna take a second here to just address the fact that they actually have Catherine Tate play three separate characters in this episode. So they have her basically play all three versions of Donna in a
Yes,
single episode.
yes. And it's so beautifully done.
Hmm.
You know, she is such a good actress for the fact she didn't start off as that. She started off as a comedian. She does not miss one beat.
What up?
She doesn't miss one beat of how she plays these three individual Donnas.
Yeah. Kind of disappointed you didn't cut me off when I was doing the Catherine Tate reference to Nan. That would have been F bomb number two.
Yes. So yeah, so I just think it was a very, very good scene. And then obviously it moves on to the realization that they've got to stop the ship, and
Hmm.
they manage to stop the ship, and then we get the scene where Donna dies. And the doctor's holding her, and oh,
Hmm.
it's just
So there I got big shades of a couple of different things.
okay.
So the first thing it gave me shades of was the end of the Doctor's daughter.
Okay. Yeah, I can see
The
that.
the framing was actually identical.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah.
Um, but from the way it was done thematically, and it sounds really odd because it's not even a TV or film medium, it reminded me of the it reminded me of a panel from a 1980s Batman comic, which isn't very well known. It's called Death in the Family. I'm sure no one here knows about it. This is the one where Jason Todd gets killed by the Joker. I'm
Okay.
being very facetious when I say no one knows about it. It's one of the most famous Batman comics ever.
I've not seen
Um, uh, it's the one where you might have seen the image of him basically carrying Robin's battered body out of a load of rubble.
them vaguely, but
Yeah, but that
I
was
don't get my geek card through comics. Remember that?
yeah, but that was something that just in my head for some reason that kept going in.
Okay.
I kept coming back to Death in the Family.
Okay.
Um, but I don't quite know why. You know, one of those things where it just sort of in your head you just go
Yeah.
to it. I think it was because hero holding sidekick. But as much as I hate referring to the companions as such, that is basically what they're there to be.
Right.
The Doctor's Batman, the companion's Robin.
Okay. So what else did you think of when you had this scene?
Those were the two big ones.
Okay. So yeah, so I liked just how beautiful this scene was, and obviously
Mm.
Donna's dead on the floor, and the Meep comes in, with his um soldiers.
With their
Sorry.
don't forget that the bit earlier on with the
Oh,
meat.
sorry. They're yeah, you're right. That was on me.
Yeah, normally this is you moaning at me.
I know I forgot it's there. The Meep is his pronouns is there. You're very right. I did
No, the meat's pronouns is the meep
the Meep.
because the meep identifies as the definitive article,
Yes,
much the same as the Doctor.
yes. So the Meep comes in with the Meep's soldiers, um, and obviously,
Confusing, isn't it?
yeah, just a tad when it's the Meep. Um, it's yeah. Um, so yeah, so the soldiers come in, and then it kind of gets a bit confusing for about 3 seconds, where the ship is about to take off, and then it
Hmm.
doesn't, and you're like, what's happened? And the doctor's like, what? And the Donna wakes up, and she's like, what? And then we're all like, she's not dead. What's going on?
Uh, yeah,
I had that moment of, what's going on, and the confusion. But then we hear Rose's voice over the tannoy, and oh, it was brilliant.
mm.
I really,
So
really, 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 really liked how they did this. So, to everyone's surprise, Donna didn't die, because she had Rose. So, for anyone who hasn't watched the first the how this all came about is the Donna took in the mind of a Time Lord, and that's too much for a human to hold in their brain.
Which again, the problem is this episode at various points seems to forget that it was just the mind of a Time Lord. They seem to keep implying it's a full-on physiological shift,
Yeah,
which the whole point of the original episode was no, it's not. That's why she's dying.
yes. But obviously, she's taken on mind, and with the fact that she's had Rose, she's passed on some of that. She's passed on that meta crisis to her daughter, and I just think this is so well done. Sorry, and you kind of get flashbacks to, some of the Doctor and Donna's memories within Rose have been there all along. You know, she's got her shed, which is a little
With
TARDIS.
and then there's a Dalek.
Yeah, and she has a son, not a son, is it Sontaran?
Uh, there was a Sontaran. There was a
Sontaran.
Cyberman,
Yeah. Um,
which was a bit of a bugbear for me because Donna never had the Cybermen.
we can forgive that because she's got some of the Doctor's memories. We can forgive
Because
that.
they also had the Sycorax, but again, she had that one I could kind of let go.
Yeah, I think we kind of need to let some of it go. Um, I just thought it was so well done that they did this, and then obviously the Meep is captured by the Wraiths, which kind of leaves us on a bit of a cliffhanger because the Meep is like, I can't wait to tell my boss about
And
a
the
second
best bit,
rewrite species.
the best bit here as well is in various interviews. Now, bear in mind, this could be an Andrew Garfield situation, but David Tennant has point blank been saying in interviews he hasn't got a clue
Hmm.
what that's about because everyone thought it was going to be the toy maker,
Yes.
who of course we know is in the third special.
Yeah.
But apparently, it's not a thread that's being resolved throughout these specials. It's actually carrying into Cutie Gatwa's series, um, which I'm like, okay, so it's the Master then.
It's gonna be, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah. It's going to be the Master or the Rani, who, for context, was the
be.
original.
I really, really hope it's the Rani. I really want to see that character in New Who.
The, the,
Like,
the irony is,
desperately.
the irony is, I actually would have liked that to have been who Missy was.
No, Missy, we're not going in that conversation about Missy because I think
Uh, Fun fact.
other than John Sims, I think it was the best. Oh, and what was the other one? The one that was after.
Sasha Dare one.
Those three versions of the Master have been the best Masters.
Yeah, basically, New Who has done very, very well with the Master.
Yes, but I think it is time to bring the Rani, and I want to see the Rani so badly.
And fun fact, on set when they were doing the end of Series 8 with Capaldi,
Yeah.
all of the dialogue was recorded with Missy being referred to as the Rani and then dubbed over
Ooh,
because they wanted to avoid leaks.
that's interesting. Didn't know
Mm.
that. But yes, so
Yep.
that is my wish list for season. What season are we on to now?
We're going. Well, no, because apparently this is going to be season 1, the next one.
Okay, so
But it's technically it's series 15 or series because it was 27 they ended on originally. Plus, so this will be series 42.
okay, let's just go with season 15, because it's easier.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey
Yeah. So
stuff.
for my wish list for season 15 is that we have the Rani, but that's completely going off track, and that's me doing it this time.
I mean, on that same vein, my wish list is one that we're never going to get because we would have got it in the anniversary, and it's the one that every fan always goes on about every anniversary. Omega. Just
Yes.
give us the original Time Lord as the villain.
Yes, maybe we don't know what's going to happen yet, but yes.
Yeah.
So this episode, it kind of, it ends with Donna and Rose expelling the rest of the meta crisis from their bodies, which I think
This part really annoyed me.
I know it annoyed you, but I really, really liked it. I think
No,
it
not
was
for the reason you're thinking of.
okay.
It was just far too much of a Deus Ex Machina in the. So just to clarify, the whole thing was the Doctor had to erase Donna's memory because the meta crisis could be stopped, and it's just, oh, we'll just let it go. But no, you have just completely invalidated the end of Journey's End.
But it hasn't because she couldn't expel it because it was too much. But now it's in half. She can. It's
Yeah,
like
but
right. It's like so you shake up a can of Coke, full bottle of Coke. You shake it, shake it, shake it. It's just gonna explode.
yeah,
But you half the can of Coke, the explosion is less.
mm, fair.
Yes,
I still don't like it.
I
I
know.
still
Yeah.
I still think it's far too easy.
Yes, but I think
I
they needed to take the easy approach in this.
well, no, they could have just had it was slowly killing her through all three specials, and then make it ironically use that as the thing you're going to use to kill him again.
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be a different way that he's going to die. I'm intrigued, and if
Hmm.
his last line is "I don't want to go. I am declaring war on the BBC and Disney."
Right, I have a theory on what his last line is going to be.
Okay.
I think his last line is going to be "I'm ready to go."
Mm. It could
I
be.
think they're going to take what everyone's expecting and flip it
Yeah,
on its head.
but that could be right because that could be why he's come back in this phase because he's now
Hmm.
ready to let go of that, and that then moves into the whole new who.
The
Yeah.
new Doctor.
So yeah, and then obviously it ends with the Meep's cryptic warning about his boss being interested in the Doctor, and then we get to the point that I'm really was really quite excited about is the Doctor suggesting Donna joins him on one last trip to visit
Hmm.
Wilfred.
Wilf.
Wilf, yeah, and I was so excited about this. I was really, really hoping that we would get that scene in that episode, but instead we got the new TARDIS interior, which, as you can probably tell by Ben's face, he is not overly happy with.
I have a love hate relationship with it. That's the worst thing. I love the round things,
We
first of
all
all.
love the round things, but what are the round things?
I have no idea.
So yeah, so we've got the round things, and I really
I,
did like. I really like this TARDIS because I feel like there's a lot of potential in it.
my only issue with it, I don't like. Again, it's where the Disney money shows because it is absolutely like it's the size of a house.
Disney dollars.
Yeah, because you could quite literally fit sort of Chris Eccleston slash David Tennant's, Matt Smith's first, Matt Smith's second slash Peter Capaldi's, and Jodie Whittaker's TARDISes
See,
all inside this
I
one
don't
control
think
room.
you can. I think I don't. Yeah, I don't think you can because Peter Capaldi's TARDIS was quite big. He had all that room underground, and he did have like that massive walkway around. So I think it just looks different because it's so much brighter.
So it ends up looking bigger as a result.
Yeah, I think that's what I don't think it's quite as big as you think it is.
I also don't like the size of the console itself. Again,
See, I
too
didn't.
big.
I don't think we got enough view of it. We only had what 5 minutes at the end.
Of each one. So far from what I've seen,
Hmm.
it looks to be the console now is about the size of the entire central section of Jodie Whittaker's. You know,
Right.
where it had the big claws going over it,
Yes.
and it looks like now the console alone is the size of that main centerpiece of Jodie Whittaker's
I'd have to
TARDIS.
have a look, but I wasn't overly upset over it. I quite liked how it basically where his first TARDIS was very dark. It was very what's
It's
it?
the polar opposite.
Yeah, that's the word. But what's it? Oh, it's grunge.
Contrast.
No, it was his grunge phase.
Grunge phase.
It was his grunge phase, and then
Yeah.
obviously this I got yeah, and how this one wasn't that. It's very light. It's very
And they even referenced the grunge phase bit with Donna's comment of, cleaner.
Yes. I think that's what they were going to do with
Mm.
it. I think they had to kind of do. It's been 15 years. Things have changed.
Mm.
Um, I really
I
I liked it. I
mm,
really liked it, and I don't think we can comment too much on it because we've literally had 5 minutes of it.
mm. See, I'll tell you one thing I do like it having,
What's that?
which is also going to bring me to a thing that I hate that it has: the coffee machine.
Yes, the coffee machine. This was
I I love the idea of the TARDIS console having a coffee machine.
yes, yes. That leads
However,
to
I so much fun.
yes.
But can we just address? Have you ever seen a coffee machine that's not coffee?
Yeah, so this kind
That
of leads to how the episode ends, where Donna spills the cup of coffee over
on the TARDIS.
on the TARDIS, which actually, when that scene was happening, I was thinking back to the time that they spilled the tea in the Christmas episode,
And it
and
woke him up.
it woke him up. But
Uh,
obviously,
you
it
know,
set the wheels in motion for this episode ending, and I kind of liked how it ended. And
it took me back to Rise of the Cybermen, where you've got the bit at the end, you've got the bit at the start where the Doctor and Rose are going through all sort of the story, and meanwhile Mickey's sat there holding this button down,
hmm
and they go through the whole thing, and Doctor's like, why are you doing that?" And he's like, "Oh well, he's like, well, you told me to hold it down." "Oh well, when did I do that? About half hour ago." And he's like, "Oh well, you can probably stop now." "Oh, well, how long ago could I have stopped?" "I don't know, 10, 15, 20, 29 minutes ago."
yes, I just think, and then obviously you've got the TARDIS disappearing off, and you've got Donna's mum going, "Oh, here we go again."
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it was a well done episode.
yeah,
My only disappointment is the fact that we didn't get Wilf, but I know there's reasons behind that. Obviously, he was meant to be in all 3 episodes, but unfortunately, he did pass away.
may he
Um,
rest in peace.
yes, which I think it's beautiful.
Which, sorry, I am going to jump way ahead here.
Okay.
Uh, it made me very, very happy at the end of the second episode where they put a little dedication to him at the end of
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really
I
nice.
just wish we had that dedication on every episode, of these specials, because I think he deserved that because he is such a big part of Doctor Who.
To
Um,
be there's actually one other dedication that they could have done, although because they never actually did. Um, sorry, I thought I had something. Yeah, they never actually did back in the 70s. William Hartnell.
yeah, I think, but it was a very different time. That type of thing wasn't acknowledged on television.
Yeah, but you could stick it on now.
Yeah, yeah. But they did, with the last anniversary, they did that with the episode that
Yeah,
they did, and I think,
the thing that does very much concern me on a very morbid note is we know what the next one they're going to have on there is probably going to be
yes, yeah,
Tom Baker.
yeah,
And if you've read some recent interviews with him, he seems to be very aware of that himself.
yes,
Which bless him.
yeah, very much. So this episode ends with Donna and the Doctor going off on an adventure. Um, so yeah, was there anything that you didn't like about the episode that you haven't discussed already?
Uh, yes, I didn't like the way that they seemed to start taking pot shots on at the Doctor and the getting rid of the meta crisis scene.
Okay.
Um, I, I get where they were going with it. It felt very heavy handed to me, and it felt very snipey. And like the oh, you'd understand if you were still a woman.
But see, I quite like that, but I think I'm a woman, so it
Mm.
kind of sounded different to me.
I get where they were coming from. I appreciate that aspect of it. it's just the way it was presented felt a bit like they were taking pot shots at him
Okay.
and almost trying to imply he was somehow inferior now.
Yes. Okay. So how many meeps are you gonna give it out of five?
Uh, I'm going to go for. Can I give it half, Meeps?
No.
Okay, I'm going to go four then.
Dun, 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 with a bit of magic. Ah, no, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong image.
What was the image?
The meep. There was a whole lot of meeps on the screen.
What's the other image?
It was the cartoon meep. Um,
Oh, I like Meeps.
okay, so you got four out of five meeps. I am going to give it the same because I think it was a good episode and it was a very, very well done. So overall, that episode gets 8 out of 10 meeps. Beep beeps.
Yep. Yeah. For those who are watching, I wanted to know about the point five because it would have got 4.5 for a David Tennant bonus.
Yes, but that isn't a bonus. That's not a thing. Okay.
Yes, it is. It is for
It's
me.
not. It's not. So that brings us to the end of this episode this week. And next week we are going to be reviewing the next episode, which should be it's called The Blue Yonder.
Wild Blue Yonder, I
The
believe,
Wild Blue Yonder. So that should be a good.
which I finished watching what about an hour ago.
Yeah, we've both finished just watching an hour ago, but you're not going to get to see this until a week in advance. So
Yeah.
until then, stay safe, keep writing.